Hey everybody, welcome back to American History with Mr. Finn. We are back on track with the American Civil War. We are in the midst of the North versus the South. Last time we talked about it, McClellan was in charge of the Union or Northern Army. We saw Ulysses S. Grant, who we're going to be coming back to at a later time, was fighting in the West on the Mississippi River. Remember, we had gunboats. They were trying to break down the southern forts. And get into the South and have a way to get into the Confederacy and split it up, and they had an avenue to get troops in and ships in and things like that. So they're doing pretty well on the Mississippi River, meaning the North is doing well as far as the Confederacy goes. But remember, McClellan just wasn't really doing anything. He was the guy that was training his troops. He was, training them, needing more supplies, not really fighting. Abraham Lincoln, the president, was like, McClellan, please do something. Please start fighting. You got to do something. This won't be good for us. If you look in the West, McClellan, people are fighting with the gunboats on the Mississippi River. They're doing stuff. What are you doing? So, eventually, McClellan is going to do something after months of nagging, as they would say, by the president and other leaders in Washington, like, come on, dude, let's go. So what does he do? Well, here is how war used to work. You used to try to get, or capture, I guess, get the capital. So in war, if you would take over the capital of that other country or other area, that would mean you have won. You took over their capital. You now have control over the seat of power for a country. So the capital of the Confederacy in the South was Richmond, Virginia. The capital of the North in the Union, you should know, is Washington, D.C. Same as today. Washington, D.C. was the capital for the North, and Richmond, Virginia was the capital for the South. McClellan is going to go to Richmond to capture the capital. Richmond, Virginia. Richmond, VA. So here is the deal. Now let's take a look at one of our big reasons why the South was able to continue to fight. And remember, one of them was that they had the better generals. In this case, going to the capital, Richmond, Virginia, to try and take the capital of the South, McClellan's going to have like 100,000 people, 100,000 soldiers. 100,000 soldiers. The South at Richmond, in Richmond, this is Union. The South, or the Confederates, are going to have like 50,000. Yikes. They're outnumbered. This should be an easy victory, but it is not. Again, we're not getting into all the battle tactics of the Civil War and all the different battles. But in this war for the capital, something that is going to happen is another person that we know, Stonewall Jackson. He is going to take some of the troops and he's going to move around McClellan's army and start to go towards Washington, D.C., which means some of the Union troops are going to have to follow Stonewall Jackson. At that point, when they leave, Stonewall Jackson comes back around to join General Lee, and they, have more. They make it more of an even fight, but, in the end, McClellan should have been able to take the capital at this point. People say that, remember our Ulysses S. Grant, if he was in charge during this time, he would have continued to attack and attack and attack and probably have been able to capture the capital at that point. But McClellan is not Ulysses S. Grant, and so McClellan is going to fail to capture Richmond, Virginia after some time. Now here's where it starts to get a little crazy. We're going to do Antietam because here's the thing. The South is outnumbered. The South doesn't have a lot of people, like the North does with all the immigrants coming in and all the big cities and all the stuff. So they always have less troops in the South. But they make a decision. General Robert E. Lee of the Confederates decides, what we're going to do? We're going to attack them. We're going to move north. Why would they go and attack the North? Remember, they're trying to have their own country, and one of the strengths is that the North has to come south to get them. Well, here is why this is a smart move. So from Richmond, Robert E. Lee from the south attacks the North. And this is why he attacks the North, for two reasons. One, maybe, just maybe, the North will say, whoa, 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 we better just settle this now. Let's have peace. Time out, time out, time out. Stop, stop, stop. Like, let's make a deal with the South, because what happens if Lee wins and takes over the North? And so he's hoping maybe the North will strike a peace deal with the South and say, all right, that's the end of the war. If that happens, then we have the Confederacy. There are two countries, and the Confederate States of America and the South would become their own country. The other reason why he does this is because he's hoping that England, across the Atlantic, will see the South and say, we get a lot of cotton from the South. We do a lot of business with the South. Looks like the South might be able to win their independence, which means then we could just deal with just the South. This might be good for us, England might say. So if England thinks that the South can win, maybe England will come in on their side and help them out. And so this is why the South and Robert E. Lee try to attack the North. And they're doing pretty good until we get to Antietam. Antietam is a battle. And what I mean pretty good, it looks like maybe, just maybe, that during this attack on the North, that the South is actually going to gain its independence and have the Confederate States of America. Antietam is going to put an end to this, and this is why. General Lee doesn't technically lose the Battle of Antietam. However, the Battle of Antietam is the bloodiest day of the war. More soldiers die in this war in this battle than any other ones. Bloodiest day of war. That'll be there. It might be a quiz question, so if I say, what was the bloodiest day of the Civil War, you can say Antietam. Anyway, why this is big. What did I just say about the number of people that the South had compared to the North? Remember, it's a lot less. So if it's the bloodiest day of the war, there's a lot of people dying in this battle, which is never good. But it hurts the South more because the North can say, we'll get more. We have tons of people. Whereas the South is like, we do not have tons of people. Every time one of our soldiers is killed, that really hurts because we don't have people to replace them. And so Antietam not being a victory one way or the other is going to stop Lee from attacking the North. And so Antietam is the bloodiest day of the war, but it also is the end of the South and the North. End of the South attacking North, which is big because this is going to pretty much signal a turning point in this war where basically the South took their shot. It was like, hey, we're going to go up there, we're going to try and win, we're going to try and do something, maybe we'll get recognized as a country. They lose a lot of people, they turn back south, and this is going to basically get us back on track with the North being able to, Anaconda Plan, remember we looked at that last time, is strangle the life out of the South. Because every battle, if the South loses some soldiers, they can't replace them. The South is built on agriculture. Who's looking after the farms for the Southern soldiers when they're at war? The war is much more difficult to fight as a Southerner than people in the North. And so that's where we're at now. Let's stop at Antietam with the South discontinuing or stopping their attacks on the North for the reason of they lose a lot of people. They don't have the fighting force anymore. So on that note, what you are going to turn in today, we are now into this Civil War. What I am going to do today is have you do one of these assignments where you look up American Civil War, look it up, and go to images. You are going to find images depicting various things going on in the American Civil War, and this is something we've done before, so you already know. Once you find these images, you're going to give me a 2 to 3 sentence description, meaning what do you see in the picture? Describe what the picture is, because guess what? I'm not sitting next to you and I can't see it. So you look up the images of the American Civil War. Give me a 2 to 3 sentence description of each picture that you look up, and here's the number. Let's go with 7 images. So go online, look up 7 pictures from the American Civil War, and then give me a brief description of what is in those pictures. What are you seeing? What do you notice? What is different? What is, anything. But this is, again, so that you can actually visualize what, who are these, if you might even type in, Robert E. Lee, just to see what it looks like, Stonewall Jackson, Abraham Lincoln, McClellan. You can put a face to the name. But the point is, I want you to be able to see who these people are, see images of the American Civil War, because me describing it and talking about it and telling you what's happening in it is not quite as good as being able to visualize and see what I'm talking about. So that is the assignment for today. Make sure you get that to me today for participation and attendance purposes, and check out some things from the American Civil War. So on that note, I will see you next class.